Welcome, friends. Hey, check me out. I'm a pilgrim. Isn't this something? The hat's a little bit big, though. I think I need to speak to my wardrobe department. Might have to ditch the hat. Well, we'll see. I wouldn't have made a very good pilgrim in real life, though. If I'd been on the Mayflower, they'd have tossed me overboard the first day out. Well, to quote Charlie Brown, it looks like we have another holiday to deal with. Thanksgiving. Ah, Thanksgiving. Time to have a big old turkey dinner and all the trimmings. Now me, I make a whole turkey dinner by paw. Turkey and stuffing and corn and squash and mashed potatoes and gravy and cranberry sauce, the kind that comes out of a can, as God intended. Oh, and pumpkin pie with some Cool Whip on it. Gotta have that too. Now, I live alone, so it's a lot of work for one dog, but that's the Turkey Day meal we always had growing up, so I still do it, even though it's just for me. I'm a nostalgic dog. What can I say? I leave out the turnip and yams, though. Mom always cooked those. Anyway, it lasts me, and I get meals out of it for at least a week. Ah, yummy noms. Yum, 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 yum. Several years ago, I started brining turkeys the Alton Brown way. He had a video on it, and that's how I've made them ever since. They turn out so good, I'll never go back. You have to do some planning ahead, but brining is pretty much a foolproof way of preparing the turkey. The gravy's great too. Nom 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 nom. And I make a pumpkin pie too. I use a recipe I found from 1927. Makes a great pie. Let me know if you're interested. I'll make a video on it. I know this year kind of sucks for a lot of people, so I'm very lucky. I can still do my turkey dinner tradition this year, and I hope you can too. Anyway, as you know, I mostly review movies on my channel, but there aren't that many Thanksgiving movies. In fact, there's only maybe 2 or 3 I can think of. True, some movies like Holiday Inn or Miracle on 34th Street have some scenes set during the holiday, but they're only part of the movie. The movie isn't about Thanksgiving itself, per se. So one of the 3 is this movie, which you might not have heard of. Plymouth Adventure from 1952. And while this movie doesn't feature Thanksgiving at all, it is about the Pilgrims and their journey on the Mayflower. Like most Hollywood movies based on history, they play fast and loose with facts and events. They omit things, add things, water down things, or condense things, and all that kind of stuff. This movie is no different in that regard. So if you have to do a book report on the Pilgrims, don't use this movie as your primary source material. Even so, they do cover some of the true events the Pilgrims went through on the voyage. MGM spared no expense on this thing, so it's in Technicolor, has a great cast, sets, and special effects, as well as a fantastic score. This was the last movie directed by Clarence Brown, a legendary director since the silent era. And even so, it lost a hell of a lot of money at the box office for all that, which is too bad. The movie does have some flaws, but I like it anyway. So let's get into it. The plot of Plymouth Adventure is pretty much the story you know. Religious dudes are being persecuted in England and want to go to the New World to pray the way they like. They cross the Atlantic on a ship called the Mayflower. They suffered a lot, a bunch of them died from cold and sickness, and then the survivors successfully set up the colony of Plymouth. The big thing the movie adds is a subplot where the captain of the Mayflower has the hots for William Bradford's wife. This movie gets some flack, mostly due to some of the casting and other choices. Spencer Tracy stars, and he plays the Mayflower's captain, Captain Jones. Jones here is nothing like his real-life counterpart, who was amiable and a happily married family man. Here, he's a loner who's surly and full of hate and anger, mocking the pilgrims, and all around being an unpleasant guy. Tracy's really good, but his character isn't very likable for most of the picture. Then there's Gene Tierney. Her role isn't that great either. She has next to no dialogue and is reduced to merely looking sad or scared. Mostly sad. Her character also falls for Captain Jones, but I honestly can't see why, because he's so mean. Maybe it's the 17th century equivalent of a chick going for the leader of a biker gang instead of the sweet, nice guy who would treat her right and love her and care for her and everything, and who could really use a date. Anyway, the whole relationship between the two doesn't seem to gel, and it's probably the one biggest flaw of the picture. Van Johnson is also in this as John Alden. People complain about him because the character is supposed to be British, but Van Johnson doesn't even attempt an accent here. He's just a boyish guy next door, all around American. Doesn't bother me, but that's another rap the movie gets. We also have Lloyd Bridges. He plays the ship's first mate, and he's pretty much the villain of the piece. He's mean to the pilgrims, he calls them names and treats them bad, and pretty much any time a villain is called for, Bridges' character is the guy. So who's gonna start a fight? Bridges. Who's gonna take a bribe? Bridges. Ship getting perilously low on food? Who's gonna try to steal some? Bridges. Who's gonna try a mutiny? Bridges. He's the bad guy in chief. But the real problem is that he's often paired with Tracy as Jones, who's playing his character on a surly, slow boil most of the time, which makes Bridges look way over the top by comparison. This doesn't bother me either. Bridges is great, and he's obviously having fun with his character and having fun chewing up the scenery. So, let's look at some positives now. Sticking with the cast, we have Leo Genn as William Bradford. Genn was a lawyer. He got bitten by the acting bug in his early days and took up acting on the side to earn some extra money. He entered service in World War II, and later he was one of the prosecuting attorneys during the war crimes tribunals. So he was the real deal as a lawyer and also a very, very fine actor. Fantastic voice. He did a lot of narration as well as acting on stage and in the movies. We also have who I feel is a very, very underrated actor, John Daynor, another actor with a very fine speaking voice. Here he plays Gilbert Winslow, who is sort of a scribe. He's chronicling the voyage, so he's the de facto narrator of the movie, and it's a joy to listen to him. In his early days, he was an animator for Walt Disney and worked on Fantasia, Bambi, and some Donald Duck cartoons. Another big plus here are the special effects. The storm sequence is just incredible. The way it's lit, the way it's shot, the action, the tension, the way the ship gets kicked around, there's a reality to it that you don't often see in the movies. And trust me, that segment alone is worth the price of admission. The model of the Mayflower used in the movie survived, and at last report it had been purchased at auction in the early 1980s and was displayed at a big seafood restaurant. Anyway, in spite of the flaws, most of which are the depiction of Captain Jones and Mrs. Bradford as portrayed in the script, this is a fine film about the trials and tribulations the Pilgrims faced on their voyage to the New World. Well worth a watch, and good Thanksgiving holiday fare. I give it 2.5 paws up. You can find Plymouth Adventure on VHS or digitally on Amazon Prime. You can also buy the DVD from Amazon or obtain it directly from the good folks at Warner Archive. Well, that's about it for this one. I'll be back with another video soon. In the meantime, you take care of yourselves, okay? And I'll see you in the next one.